Hi Mark, welcome aboard. Yeah, basically the plan for today is we're just going to jam through some tunes, and then where relevant I'll tell you anything interesting I can think of about the chord progressions in them. I'll try and oh, that's good. I'm glad the connection's better. Yeah, basically I'll try and run you through any interesting chord progressions that are in things. We will be playing tunes in sets, so I won't necessarily remember everything, but I'll do my best to try and run you through stuff. I'm going to talk a little bit about using combinations of the Dorian and the aeolian mode and mixing up the chords from both for interesting effects, and even maybe a little bit about doing the same with ionian and Mixolydian, the two major modes, stuff like that. So yeah, we'll see how we get on. What are we playing first?
We'll just go for the list, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
Or should we do the Lonesome Jig and this other one?
Oh yeah, okay.
Three times each or twice, do you want them?
Yeah, we'll do 3 times each.
Okay.
What's are they on? Oh yeah.
They're on there.
Cool. Yeah. Cool. Who have we got? Let's have a look. What's going on here? No dubbed movie, yay. Yes, that's good. Very good. Yeah, the would you believe I live in the 5th biggest city in the country and the internet there is absolute rubbish, and here we are in the absolute middle of nowhere and the broadband is fantastic. So that's good. Definitely improvement.
It's my computer that's got the problems then.
Yeah. No. Hey Yvonne, no worries. What's going on? What have I done? Sorry, I've turned the camera around somehow. I don't know how I've done that. Come on. There we go. Yeah, no worries, Yvonne. Thanks for letting us know anyway. Hope you're having a good time. Hi, Ed. Ed says, greetings from Tucson, Arizona. Hi, nice man.
Hi, Ed.
Greetings from Bonnie Rig Midlothian. Thanks for tuning in. Brian says, great tune. Yeah, cheers, Brian. What were those tunes, man?
I know it as the Lonesome Jig, the first one. It's also called
yeah.
Maguire's March. I think that's a more common name. And the Roaring Barmaid.
There we go, folks. If you want to put them in your books or whatever. Yeah, chords. Let's have a think. Having just played the second one, I've got the second one in my head now, but the first one was in D, wasn't it? So it was D ionian. Actually, yeah, the chords I was using in that, they're fairly standard. So it's mainly D. This is an inverted D, so you've put the F sharp at the lowest pitch in the chord. And the reason you do that is just because it forms a nice little way of linking a D up to a G, so you get this little bass line going on. Like that. That kind of thing. I use that chord a lot. What I was doing with that then was for the A chord, I used that one a lot because I really like that one in conjunction with D. And it's Tucson, is it? Tucson. Is it Tucson? Well, I never knew that. I'm going to call it Tucson anyway. Anyway, yeah, so the chord is, D, then you put your thumb around the back, and then for the G chord, I use a kind of what I call country G with the 2 fingers at the top. And then this A chord, where I'm keeping that finger, my 3rd finger, in common on the 3rd fret between all of them, because that way you can play them faster. And it also sounds really nice. That A chord is nice. It's sort of a bit vaguer than A7's very definite, you know, but I like this kind of airy one. Also for the G chord, I often leave the top string off, and I often do that for all the chords actually, just to have an unusual note ringing in all of them. The other interesting chord in that selection was occasionally I'd do like that, which is nice. So that's G, followed by G sharp diminished, acting as a little chromatic link to go into A. So G, G sharp diminished, and then this chord, which I call the disco chord. There's a whole little section of my book, my first book, Backing Guitar Techniques for Traditional Celtic Music, which is about this chord and different things you can do with it, because I absolutely love this chord. The main thing you can do with it is write disco hits from the 70s, but you can also use it as chord 5 in a folk tune, which is very nice, and chord 7 in a minor key, and lots of other things. So yeah, that's that. What it is really, if you look at those 3 fingers, that's like the top of a G major bar chord. So it's kind of like you've taken a G major chord, ripped the top off it, and then changed the root note to be A instead. So really that chord is chord 5's root with chord 4's notes piled on top of it, and that's why it's got this kind of expectant quality, I suppose, because it's like chord five's root is saying it wants to be like chord 5, and chord 4 is saying no, we're going over here. You know, so it's kind of pulling in two directions at once, I suppose. But anyway, it makes a very nice sort of, yeah, expectant chord 5 substitute, and it looks like that. Brad Clovel. I've probably pronounced that completely wrong, but thanks for tuning in, Brad. Anyway, oh, the other tune, the G one. What was interesting about that one? I can't really remember. There's lots of good bar chords. In the key of G major, your main kind of first port of call for substituting in major keys is swapping in a major key. You've got chords 1, 4 and 5 as your main chords. So in G major it's G, C and D, and you can swap all of those to their related minors. So the first one you'd think about would be swapping G major to E minor. And what I was doing in the second half of that tune, instead of going with just G, C and D, I was going up to an E minor 7 bar chord up here. That is a B minor, and I'm leaving the top 2 strings ringing in it because they sound nice. So that's a kind of lazy B minor 7, if you like. And then you can go dun, 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 like that, nice little chromatic shift. And then you can go up to D9, which is great, and that takes you back nicely to G of some sort. So that's quite a useful little thing. So you've got E minor 7. The B minor is a substitute. It's actually a substitute for the G chord, because if you make a G chord is G, B and D, and a B minor chord is B, D and B, D and F sharp. So there's 2 notes in common there, so you can play B minor instead of G. I really need a catchy name for this type of substitution. I always talk about them and I never know what to call them. I don't think they really have a name. But yeah, as well as related minors, there's another minor 2 notes up from any major chord that you can play instead of it. So yeah, that's kind of what I was doing in the B part. So E minor 7, B minor 7, little chromatic shift to A minor 7, and then D9 to get back to G. Yeah, so that's that. And the A part I think is pretty standard. It's mostly G, C and D, standard sort of G major affair. What's next, Mum?
More tunes.
Right. More tunes, yeah.
Right, what's on the list? Do you want to do the set with the butterfly in it?
Oh yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah, this set is on the list because I made a play along recently, and I thought it's a really interesting tune, the Butterfly, because it's actually in E aeolian, which is the less common of the 2 types of minor mode, but it's not very clearly in E aeolian. You find this a lot in Irish tunes. Often the only note that separates E aeolian from E Dorian, there's 1 note difference between those 2 modes. So here's E aeolian, and the 6th note, the C natural, that's the one that makes it aeolian. If I play E Dorian for comparison, it's just that 1 note different. So the 6th note has gone up from C to C sharp. So in the Dorian you've got the raised 6th like in the major scale. In the aeolian, that 6th is flattened. The reason this tune is interesting is because that 6th hardly ever appears in it. There's only 1 part where it appears, and in that part it only appears briefly, which means you can have loads of fun messing around with mixing up the chords from aeolian and the chords from Dorian. So I'm going to use a combination of an A major and an A minor, and a C chord and a C sharp diminished chord, or a substitute for one, and have some fun messing about with that. Oh, Mum, you've got a question. Jack says, Alexa, when you're playing the whistle, is the fingering the same as when playing pipes?
I don't know that much about pipe playing. I did go on a course last year, just a beginner's pipe course, and the whistles I play are in D, or that's a C whistle, and the pipes were in G, so I find it very hard to read the music and sort of transpose it to the right fingering in my head. So I can't honestly tell you. The fingering on the pipes was basically the same. It's so long since I had a go on them. I think there were a couple, maybe extra holes or key. Some pipes have the key on the bottom, more like a flute.
I know the pipe players, they've got their fingers like halfway across like that, haven't they, with the pipe in the middle?
Oh, the pipe is gripped.
The grip is very different, isn't it?
Yeah, they play more like that. You meant to. The piper's posture is more like this, and your fingers are very flat like that, which I manage with my upper hand on the low D. I keep that quite flat, but that one I sort of have a funny kind of compromise with that finger. Depends on your shape of your own fingers, I think.
Do most players use piper's grip on low whistles? Or do people do it?
I don't know. Have a look at Felix.
Yeah, I know Felix does. Yeah. If you look at the little, the intro that's on all the Folk Friend clips with me and my friend Felix playing, he kind of plays with his fingers when he's playing the big whistle, the low whistles. He kind of plays with his fingers, so that the actual pipe of the whistle's kind of there on his finger rather than at the tips, kind of thing, on the lower ones, I think. Don't ask me, I don't know anything about wind instruments. I get a headache after about 3 minutes of trying to play the whistle. Do you
want to do the set then?
Yeah, what are we doing, sorry?
So it's reaping the rye and the butterfly as we usually do, and then we've got light and airy in a mix on the end.
All right, nice. Okay, cool.
I'll have to keep my glasses on because this is a different set to what we usually do, and I always forget the last tune, so I have to read it off. Right. And repeats on Reaping the Rye.
Oh, Jack says thank you. What were those ones? Yeah, well, the first two are E minor. Mainly E minor. Any sort of E minor, I quite like power chords. So that was mostly kind of power chords like this one. And then what I was doing, I think mainly for that first tune, was a kind of combination of power chords. I made a video about this a while ago, which you can find on the Folk Friend channel. It's called something like Power Chords for E minor, or some sort of unoriginal name like that, I expect. But yeah, that's the power chord shape, and in E minor you can kind of just slide it around all over the neck and get all the chords you need in E minor. So for E aeolian, E minor, D, C, B minor, A. That's either A major or minor, you can use it for both. So that's handy. And then G, that kind of thing. So that shape's really useful for either E Dorian or Aeolian. E aeolian. And I think what I was doing in the first tune was combining it with this shape, which is an F sharp minor 7 triangle. Like that. And then from that shape, if you take that finger off and put your middle finger on the C note on the 10th fret of the bottom string, that gives you this really nice, basically it's a substitute for the C chord in E aeolian, and then you can use that. So those three in conjunction with each other all work really nicely. And the other chord then for chord 5 is that same B minor I was using before. So all on the 7th, one finger on the bottom string, one finger on the D string, and one on the G string, and that gives you this really nice B minor 7 chord with the top 2 strings ringing. The really good thing to think about if you're in a key, especially like E minor, is just leaving the open strings in as much as you can, because you know the bottom string's your root note, so that's good. And those top 2 strings, you can leave them ringing all the time because they're the root and the 5th of E. So they're going to sound nice in all your chords if you're in that key. So they're always good to be left in. And you can think about that if you're just playing with E minor chords. Like let's say you're playing like E minor, C, D, B minor, something like that. Just standard chord progression. Just think about having a go at leaving those top strings ringing in those. You know, just leave the fingers off. So like E, C, D would be just that, and B minor would be just a B power chord, because those ringing notes give it a really nice kind of folky feel of having the root and the 5th ringing out in all the chords. And that's the magic of what makes Dadgad sound so nice and folky, is that you always end up with ringing roots and 5ths. So yeah, that's a good little tip for any tune in E minor. Yeah. The last tune, I completely messed up. I'm sorry, I got carried away thinking about the other one and totally forgot that the tune was about to change. So maybe ignore what I played on that one. Never happened. No, it was in A Mixolydian, and I was mainly using this chord, which looks like an A bar chord, but it's not, because again, I've left the top 2 strings ringing like that. And then I slide that down, and that gives me a kind of nice G to use. This only really works in A Mixolydian. So something like that. Then this one, that is effectively D with a thumb. It's all the same notes. I'm just fingering it differently because it's convenient to go from that shape and just slide the index finger and then move those over there. And the other chord was E minor, and I left the 7th in it because that finger was already there. So you get da 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 da, or something like that. That's a really good thing to play with as well. If you've got a chord progression, experiment and see if you can pick one note from within whatever the first chord was, and just see if you can keep that note in all the other chords, because it kind of glues the whole progression together. So like within that one, within the first two I've got my top two strings ringing, within the third chord I've got my top string ringing, and within the last chord I've got my top string ringing. So that top E is kind of acting as an auditory glue, if you like. At the top end of the chord progression you've got one constant that's holding it all together. And the other thing is, between those last two chords, if I just played D to E minor, it's a big jump, you know, it feels quite jarring that without some sort of link. Whereas if you play that with the one note in common there, the D note between the two, so you're playing E minor 7, then it kind of makes that leap seem less offensive. Yeah, so that's that one.
Well,
yeah, why not?
We've had some reels, haven't we?
Yeah, that'd be good.
There's a couple here that we've been playing together for years.
No, we haven't. We've only just tried it today.
Which one? What's the which order they go in? The Mushroom Treatment. And Taylor's Rambles. And I think the Mushroom Treatment was written by Tony Scully, who's the famous banjo player.
Oh, he did that Scully's banjo book, is it? Yeah. Yeah, those tunes are quite funny because they're a weird combination of minors and majors and mixolydians and all sorts. So yeah, I think that second tune is a very odd combination of starting out in A Dorian, but then the second. Wait, no, sorry. It starts out. The second tune starts in A Mixolydian, and the second half of it is in A Dorian. And I kind of amuse myself by muddling together all the modes in that one, because there's quite a lot of bits of it where the note that would differentiate the Dorian and Mixolydian sections, the major third, is not present. So I kind of mix between using chords from major and chords from Mixolydian. So like in the second part of the second tune, it has the major third near the beginning, like that, but then there isn't another one for ages. No major thirds anywhere in that whole bit, which means that you can play oh, sorry, I tell it minor third rather. Hang on, I've confused myself now. Sorry, what I mean is the difference between Dorian and aeolian for that part, because it's A minor, that B part of the second tune. But there's no sixth either. Yeah, no sixth. The sixth would be that one, which doesn't appear anywhere in that section. So I kind of use a combination of, so it's like A minor, G, this chord, the D with the thumb, which is a substitute for F sharp diminished, so that's what would be the Dorian chord, and then F, which is what would be the aeolian chord, and then E minor, which is chord 5. So or whatever, you know. So it's again that little thing of just using those little chromatic linking chords that I've talked about in previous videos, and kind of deliberately mashing between the two modes. If the note that makes it clear which one it should be isn't there, then use both. Be greedy. Yeah. Anything else? Oh yes, I made a video a little while ago which doesn't get many hits, and it was about using Django chords in folk tunes, and that's kind of what I was doing in the first tune. So that's an A minor chord, which is that same shape as the B minor one I showed you before. That's an A minor 7. You've got the 5th fret on the bottom string, and then so that's playing an A under there, and then that open string there, that's an A as well. So you've got 2 of your root notes at the bottom end, which makes it a really nice beefy chord, and then those 3 also on the 5th, and the top string open. And you can leave that one off if you want. That also sounds nice. That makes it into an A9, which is a sort of more hazy version of the same thing. But the reason I like this chord for this kind of funky feeling tune is because you can do stuff like that, and my right hand isn't doing any muting. It's all just my left hand just pulls the chord off slightly. So straight after you play a chord, if you're fretting most of the strings and you then just pull your fingers off slightly, you can do those sorts of Nile Rodgers type funk mutes, I suppose. That's quite a nice little technique. The other chord I was using with that one, if you're in A Dorian, optimistic A minor, then your chord 4 should be D7. And you can play D9, which sounds like an extra funky version of that, which is like that. So, show that like that, there we go. So middle finger on the 5th, index on the 4th. What jazz? We don't have jazz here, this is a folk channel. I don't know what you're talking about. And then other 2 fingers on the 5th of the G string and the B string, like that. And those two work really nicely together for tunes in A Dorian. So that kind of progression is nice and definitely not jazzy at all. The other chord at the end there is a G13, incidentally, which makes a nice substitute for your G chord, which looks like that. You want to mute the A string for that one by just kind of squishing your index finger onto the A string, like that. But anyway, yeah, if you want to find out more about those kinds of chords and some other options as well for those, have a look at the Django video, because there's loads more similar ones there. Anything more than 3 chords is jazz. Yeah. Yes. Another tune, I suppose, is it?
Is it?
Yeah.
Those are the ones, you know. What do you fancy? We could do. Do you want jigs or reels?
We've had. I don't mind, Mum. Whatever really. Has anyone got any requests? You can have jigs or reels. Yeah. You can't have polkas because I don't like them, and I am making a video about how to play polkas, by the way, because I realised the other day that my prejudice has made me not do any polkas. But I will be doing some soon. I'll have a video up very soon about how to play those. Lou Reed said anything more than 3 chords is jazz.
Really?
Apparently so, yeah.
There you go,
then. Banish Misfortune. Do you know that one?
I do, but I play it on the fiddle.
Ah, right, okay.
I'm allowed to play the fiddle when I'm with my.
Sorry. I like that tune though. Anyway, what else is actually on the list?
Christy Barry's The Donegal Lass and the Old Flail.
Oh yeah, okay, that'd be good. Yeah.
A set of good reels.
Let's do them first, and we'll do the reels afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah. How are we doing for time? Oh, it's only 6:10. Cool.
Can your people hear this one okay? Because it's not very loud,
Can you? How's the sound out there? Can you hear everything all right? Can you hear the low whistle? No, we'll never know, Mum.
I don't know. I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, all good. Thanks, Jack. Cheers. Yeah. Nice one. Jack and Brian on the sound desk out there. Cheers. Diddly dee. I can't remember what key the first one was in. Now is it G? G, yes. G. What can I say about G? Shall I compare G to A Summer's Day? G. I kind of just did the standard. That kind of thing, I think. There's a really useful shape which I don't think I've ever actually covered in any of the videos. Actually, I should probably do one about these at some point. In fact, this is two useful shapes in one. If you've got any major chord, if you move up a third from it, so you're playing its major third, if you like. So for G, G, A, B, B is the major third of G. If you find that note on the same string, like that, and then make this shape, you get a really, really useful chord, which is just G inverted. So it's G with the third at the bottom instead of G. But the other notes are basically a G chord. You can do the same thing with a minor chord by taking that note and moving it down one. So that would be the one for G minor. So if you wanted G minor, you wanted G minor's first inversion, it would be that. And if you move that finger up one, then it's G major. And that shape is really useful in minor keys for doing these kinds of chromatic shifts that I was talking about before. And it's really useful in major keys as a nice way to lead into chord 4. So it's like G, and then G in the first inversion, like that, and then that takes you into some sort of C chord, which is chord 4. Like you could use C major 7 like that, which is a nice one. Yeah, so that's a really useful progression if you want to kind of move up the neck for some reason. Those kinds of things. It also leads nicely into E minor from that C chord, because you've got C like that, and you can go to an E minor bar chord and take that finger off, and then you've got nice jazzy E minor 7. Jack, whistle playing is great, guitar player may need to pick it up a bit. Thank you, Jack. I'll have you barred from this stream if you carry on.
My whistle playing's been pretty dire, actually. Lots of mistakes in it. And I haven't really, I love this.
Don't tell him.
I haven't really the lungs for it, so I tend to leave more notes out than whistle players usually do. But thank you anyway. That shape's really handy. You can do loads of good stuff with it by just moving that finger back and forth. You've got both a major and a minor in one really useful shape. And now I think of it, I will make a video about other uses for that shape, because you can do loads of stuff with it as well. It may be in the Django video briefly, actually, but anyway. What was the other tune? The other tune was in A Mixolydian, wasn't it? I think I've kind of already talked about all the standard A Mixolydian things. That bar chord with the top 2 fingers missing, very nice. Just slide it around and use it with that, and then E minor. I think that's pretty much more or less what I did for that A minor tune. A major, so A Mixolydian rather. A major, the chord, its related minor is F sharp minor. If you've got an A major chord at any point in a tune and you want to sub it to its related minor, if you've been using this A chord with the top 2 strings open in it, which is really nice, full sounding jazzy chord, then you can take all the fingers off that chord except that one, move that finger up 2 frets,
and then add that one on the same fret but on the G string, like that. Something like that. And that is a nice F sharp minor substitute. Miss off the bottom string. And you can use that with things like that. So you've got A major, little F sharp minor triangle, that's an E7 chord, and that's your A major without a bar. Those kinds of things. That's really nice for A major, and you can use most of those in A Mixolydian as well. So yeah, it might be handy for something. Should we do one more set?
Yeah. Did you particularly want to do? I remember you saying something. The Agala has Frolics and Sean Ryans and Spotted Dog, or we could do. I don't know if there was some reason why you wanted to talk about one of those. I can't remember what it was. Or we could do that set. That set's nice.
The one I wanted to talk about was the butterfly.
Oh, there we are.
I didn't actually say it. There's a play along video for the butterfly which I wanted to plug. That's why I wanted to do that one. If you want to practice those chromatic things, the butterfly is a particularly good tune to practice mixing Dorian and aeolian on. And it does that if you look at the jazzy chords in my recent play-along video for that, then you'll find several examples of ways you can do that. And I've got it here somewhere, I think, so I'll put a little link to it in the comments, just in case anyone wants to have a go at playing along with that. Boop. Bop, bop. That's it's the last section. It sounds like it's going to rain.
It is really getting. It's not doing at all what it's meant to today. It's really stretchy. Never mind. Right.
If anyone else has seen our heat wave that we were meant to have today, could you send it back, please? This is not great down here. Anyway, what are we playing?
We do the set of nice reels for we. That one. So it's where are they? No, there. E aeolian, E minor and E aeolian.
Yeah.
A minor and C.
Okay.
And A minor and D mix.
Ah, cool. Diddly dee. Are we still? Oh yes, good. That's right. Still connected, I think. Or are we? Hang on. Quest is. I think we're still connected. It says request is missing a valid API key. I've no idea what that means, but it's also still counting. So I assume it's still working. Anyway, diddly dee. They were some tunes in D Mixolydian. Oh yes. Oh, it is still working. It's just the comments aren't coming up on my phone. Oh, there you are, look, Mum. Ed says, "How cool is that to be able to jam with your mum? Thank you, Alexa and Nye, for a lovely session today." Oh. Thank you, Ed. Cheers for tuning in. Yeah.
E minor and E aeolian was the first one.
Ah, thank you. Yeah. Yes. I don't think I've got anything particular to say about those. It's the same kind of deal. Power chords, little minor triangles, really, really useful. Power chords sound a bit more solid. Minor triangles are a bit more floaty. And a combination of the two is good for building up sets over time. If you start out with the floaty ones and build into the more solid ones, it makes the set feel lifted. So that's quite nice. And doing things the other way round can also have some interesting results, particularly if you start out very kind of staccato and muty, and then as you build up and things open out, then kind of build into the jazzier chords as the playing dynamic opens out. Then the jazzier chords feel like more open chords as well, so that makes a nice effect. It's another thing you can think about. So yeah. And the later ones, there was a D Mixolydian set at the end, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah, D Mixolydian.
A minor and D Mix.
Yeah. Yeah, it's in D Mixolydian, but it's quite an unusual. What's that tune called, man?
The last one.
Yeah.
The Old Bush.
The Old Bush. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's quite unusual, that tune, because it actually starts on chord 5, which is almost, it's very, very, very rare. But it's a Mixolydian one, so it's unusual anyway. So I suppose it can do what it wants. But yeah, so it starts on an A minor chord in a tune which is in D Mixolydian. So that's quite strange. With Mixolydian tunes, your chord 1 is what would have been chord 5 in a major key. Therefore, if you're using 7s, then your chord 1 has to be a D7, not D major 7, only in Mixolydian. And you can use a 9 chord as your chord 1 in Mixolydian, which is fun. So you get like, and then just for that last bit I like to change back to D7. Just makes it feel a bit more definitely in its home key just for the last chord if you play D7 instead of jazzier and vaguer D9. But yeah, it's just me. Yeah, I think that's about all I have to say about that one, really. It's a great tune. Do you have anything to say to add about any of these, Mum?
No.
I think we'll do one more set and call it a day.
Got enough time?
Yeah. Well,
okay.
There's not really an end time set on this.
Okay.
People are still. We've still got people out there in the ether watching. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who thinks we should shut up? No, we're going to play another set. We'll do one more and then we'll have some tea or so.
So, what do you want? Some jigs or some reels? Perhaps.
Don't mind.
Do you want that set that's on our little CD?
Oh yeah, okay.
Gallows, Sean Ryan's and Spotted Dog.
Yeah. So that's 2 in E minor and 1 in A major. Great. Yeah, let's do them. Yeah.
I'll do them on the safe this time.
So yeah, this is our last set. This is O'Gallagher's, Sean Ryan's, and the Spotted Dog.
O'Gallagher's Frolics, to be technical.
Ah. The Spotted Dog, I know, this is one tune I actually know an interesting thing about. It's a modern tune. Who was it written by? I think it's...
I'm just moving in a bit because it's raining.
Spin round. I think it's a tune by Tommy Walsh, if I remember rightly. Don't quote me on that, but I think so. And I know it's named after a pub, which there used to be a session in, which the author used to go to, which I think is in Birmingham. But again, don't quote me on that either.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
There we are. That's about it for today. Very last little chord thoughts. That last tune is really nice because it's in A. Most tunes in A major are really nice, but that one particularly I love. It's great. But if you play an A major 7 chord like this, and it's that same thing of leaving the top 2 strings ringing in all the chords, always sounds really nice. That's an A major 9 chord. So you've got your index finger on the 5th fret of the bottom string doing an A. You've got an A string also doing an A. Then you've got these 2 fingers playing the major 7 and the major 3rd. So they're on the 6th fret of the D and G strings. And then if you leave the top 2 strings in, you get this lovely ringing A major 9 chord. And then you can just, if you look at that shape, if you imagine that you moved that finger up 1, then you'd have a minor 7 chord of some type, and you could slide that around for lots of other chords. So in A major, you want A major, B minor. So you just move those 2 fingers up a bit and put that one there. Gives you B minor 7 plus extra notes. Move it up 2 more and you've got C sharp minor, the 3rd chord in A major. And then I think I was doing that for the D chord. That's a kind of D major 7, except it's, if you look at a D major 7 bar chord like that, just imagine that but with the top 2 strings left ringing, so that you're only actually fretting those 3 fingers. And then little E7 triangle like that. And because it's an E chord, you can leave the bottom string in. And the last one is that F sharp minor chord that I talked about before, where you've got those 2 fingers up there on the 9th fret, and that one on the 7th. So between a combination of those, come out it's got all the fingers on in it, but you can find it in the book anyway for people who've got it. People who haven't got it, go and get it. It's very good. It's on finaleguitar.co.uk/shop. It's called Backing Guitar Techniques for Traditional Celtic Music. Yeah, that's the disco chord. And if you make the disco chord, incidentally, and you move that finger is fretting the top 2 strings. If you move that down 1, that's really nice. And if you then move the middle finger down 1 as well, then that really wants to lead back to chord 1, like that. So that's a really nice little progression you can use in place of chord 5 if you're on chord 5 for a long time. Something like that. Yeah. And also if you play that a bit and you get used to the sound of it, and then you listen to old disco tunes, you'll hear it's in absolutely loads of them, which is hence the name. Yeah, so I think that's about it from us for this week. Oh, for anybody who's not seen it yet, I'm doing a 300-mile charity bike ride from where I am now in South Wales all the way back to my house in Sheffield, through the Brecon Beacons, along the coast, through bits of Snowdonia National Park, and then across the Transpennine Way through the Peak District back to Sheffield. And it's all for Animal Free Research UK, a really great charity who work on medical research, evolving new technologies that don't use animals for medical research. So yeah, I've done projects fundraising for them before. I think they're absolutely great. There's loads of information about the work they do and stuff like that. If you have a look on the charity fundraising page for my trip, which is at the top of the comments on here, I think I'll post it again just in case it's disappeared up the top somewhere. There you go. So if anyone's interested in that, you can find more details there. And as ever, if you don't know which chords go in keys. You want an amazing mode wheel, they're very good. They're available at finaleguitar.co.uk/shop as well, and they tell you all the chords in any key. Any last thoughts, Mum, for the...
No, just thanks all for listening. It's been really good fun.
Thank you all very much for tuning in. We'll be doing something similar next week, and then for 2 weeks after that I won't be on because I'll be out on my bike in the middle of nowhere. So yeah, tune in next time.